Welcome to episode 2 of the Situation Report, Strategic Elites video series on how to play the game Scrappers, Post-Apocalyptic Skirmish War Games by Osprey Games. I'm your amateur and unprofessional host, Bob Faust, doing the quick and dirty video series to show you what's what with Scrappers and how to get stuck into some great games. So, last episode we discovered what additional materials you might want to use to play the game, such as action tokens, break and edge tokens, different types of measuring devices, and smoke, etc. This episode we're going to go over the basic premise of the game turn, and we're going to do that in a low-tech fashion, as I very deftly pan us down to the play sheet and the notes I've got here. One of the things you can do is go to the Brink of Battle website, www.brinkofbattle.com, and there you will find in the download section our Scrappers play sheets that our graphic design man Alan put together, and they're beautiful. And you can download the play sheet that will walk you through all the major events of a turn. You can also find on there the builder's reference, so that when you're building your crew, it will walk you through the steps to do that and give you a lot of the shorthand answers, as well as a good reference for page numbers for the different ratings, traits, and gear, life form types, etc. that you'll need to assemble your Scrapper crew. So, what I want to focus on in this segment is the overall turn sequence. As you can see, there are only 3 phases to every given turn. Scrappers usually tries to keep things to about a 3-point method. It's much easier to remember 3 things than 4, 5, or 10, and it keeps the game flow nice and tight. Each turn will start with the sit-rep phase. In the sit-rep phase, you have 4 things that you have to do in this order. You check for any route checks that a crew might be forced to make if they've lost 25% or more of their starting number in the previous game turn, or previous to that if they've been making subsequent route checks. After all route checks are finished, you will then go to panic checks. Any models that are currently outnumbered with no friendlies nearby will need to make a panic from outnumbering check, and if they pass that, they will be stuck still in place, and if they fail it, they'll take off running. And for those that have a broken status on them, a broken condition, they will also then be subject to the random movement. Random movement's done with a random check, haha, funny pun. But we'll get into the checks in a different segment. Basically, this allows you to represent those that are panicked or fleeing or not under their own power, and how they get around the board after that. And then finally, the 4th thing you do is recover shocked models. Any models that weren't outright wounded but were left somewhat damaged in the previous turn will now be returned to the standing position of ready, and both players do that, and then that closes out the sit-rep phase. After the sit-rep phase, we have the orders phase. The orders phase begins with the strategy check. This is basically to determine who has the initiative, or what we call the edge, for the remainder of the turn, and which player has the interrupt, or the break, as we call it, which is the break in the action. After you make the strategy check, you then generate your tactical pools. The tactical pool is how you determine how many actions, or rather action tokens, you may place on your crew members, your models, in this given turn. It's a number that's initially generated by the command rating of your commander, and it does not change. Even if your commander gets shot in the face and pulled off the board, your crew every turn will start with that number of base action tokens when you generate your tactical pool. A player with the edge will gain +3 action tokens this turn to add to his tactical pool. As you will see, when you grow your crew size, you might not have everybody up and at 'em every turn, just like in real life, where some people are waiting to figure out what the hell's going on, or they, for some reason, are delaying their action, while their compatriots are out there getting stuck into the battle. So you generate the tactical pools, and then the 3rd and final part of the orders phase is each player takes turns placing a single action token on any ready model in his crew, and that makes him now active and ready to do something this turn. Once the orders phase is complete, players then move on to go back to the turn sequence to the action phase. We'll get into the action phase in a different segment, but basically this is where players do the back and forth between their individual activations to see how their troopers perform and do the things they want to do: shoot, charge, run, hide, pick up scrap, whatever the case. And once that third and final action phase, all tokens have been used, every action has been executed that was on the board, then the turn sequence comes to an end, and the players start back over at the sit-rep phase for the following turn. That's the Scrapper's turn in a nutshell, and we'll dive into more juicy bits in our second episode, our third episode, told you I wasn't a pro at this, of the situation report. Thanks.